So this is the section that I'm really delighted to show you what we've created for you. This is our proprietary title splitting calculator. That's the only one in the market that's like this. And what it is 25 years of experience poured into a very simple calculator that helps you assess the buildings that you're thinking about buying. So in this section, I'm going to actually physically go through the calculator with you and take you through an actual example of a building that we are buying. And I assessed it in November. We're now in February and we're buying this and we're completing on it. So let's take a look at what the sections look like in the calculator first, and then we'll look at a live case study. So as you can see on the top here, there's a few tabs. So property, seller, buyer, and you will recognize this from the sections that I talked about, the variables section, financing, title splitting, market analysis, market and analysis. So continually, it's important to say that we're continually adding more functions to this calculator. So what you might find today may be slightly different tomorrow because we're adding more and more features. So but for today, we're going to show you what that looks like, the core element of it, of how you use it to deal stack your blocks of flats. So once you find a property, in my case, I'm going to load a calculation here. So the good things here, once you are signed up and signed in, you can then have a historical search tab like this on the screen here, and all your calculations will come up. So I'm just going to bring up the one that I did in November, as I said here, and start to populate the calculation. So typically, section 1, property details, you will then add your hyperlink of that deal in here. So the next time you need to find it, it's very easy for you to find. Number of flats is already there. You will then populate that, the address, the city, and the postcode. But in terms of the property itself, I just want to kind of freeze there before we go into the actual breakdown, just to give you an idea of what that block looked like. So then when we come back to this calculator and explain it a bit more. So as you can see here, it was a block of 5 flats. Now, if you look at the screen here, this is the property that I went to see in November. It's the brown building here. So it's made up of 5 individual flats, one of which is a 2-bed, 4 1-beds. And just to show you in terms of the condition, actually not so bad, right? So if you're looking at here and you are assessing the condition of this property, when I'm coaching on the 1-to-1, I'm always saying to people on use a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is terrible condition, 10 is an amazing 5-star hotel. Where would you put this? So we tend to flick through the pictures, and most people agree with me that this is a condition around 6 to 7, because that matters, because the higher the condition, the less money you'll end up spending to fix it up to get it a better value. Here you can see also the fire alarms already in place, utilities are already split, and all of these we will cover when we do site visit as a section. So going back to the calculator, next will be, you've seen now it's a block of 5 flats, conditions around 6 to 7, so that will then be reflected on our deal sheet. But before I go to the deal calculator, I just want to leave one more thing here. When I went to the viewing, I would ask the tenants, okay, so if you had to change one thing in this building, what would it be? So that we can get you from £450, I think they were paying on average per month, to the market rate of £600. And one thing was very loud and clear for most tenants was the windows. So those windows you can see on the screen here are old sash windows, but single glazed sash windows. So it's bloody freezing, and we then got a quote for replacing all of the windows, and that came up to around £9,000. So I then revised my deal title split calculator and accounted for that extra cost. Otherwise, I was only working on the light refurb in the flats. So coming back to the title split calculator, now that you've seen the property, so I enter the property address and all the information that I talked about. Section 2 is the seller's view. So how much was the seller looking to sell this? And in this case, it was £297,000 that we negotiated the price down. Actually, we started at 310, but in the end, we got it down to 297 because I did say that those windows need changing. There's quite a bit of work needs to be done on those. So we managed to reduce the cost of purchase from 310 to 297, which means on a block of 5 flats, the calculator then calculates it for you that it's worth just under £60,000 a flat. On the buyer section now, the buyer section tab, the buyer assessment was you get the cost of refurb per flat. So here I initially, before I went to the site visit, I initially had it at £3,000 per flat, £15,000 in total. But when I went to see it, I had to revise it to say actually it's more £30,000 because I need to account for this £9,000-10,000 worth of window cost. So you can see here you can manually enter your cost of refurb. You can manually enter the cost of legals, so legal cost to buy. It's only one purchase, so you pay one time. But the next section is legal cost for title splitting per flat. On average, £1,200 is the average legal cost per flat. And all of these, you can see that at the bottom are the totals. Legal cost to refinance each flat, it's around £1,500. That includes the broker fee, the legal fees, etc., etc. So in total, my cost of development, including the stamp duty, at £19,700. And once again, the calculator is so clever that you actually, depending on the price that you put and the number of flats that you put, it works out for you your stamp duty. And I think that's an amazing technology at your fingertips. So in total, as a buyer assessment, I assessed it to be that I will need to spend £65,000, £64,700 to buy this property. In terms of financing, you can see here the section of financing is 297, 25% deposit, which means I would have had to put, well, I'm having to put £75,000 deposit and borrow on a bridge. Quite frankly, in my example, and when I coach people on a one-to-one, I'm only talking about bridge, because the mortgage is a fallacy to think that you're going to get a mortgage in the timeline that you need in the the normal banks like the NatWest will do that. It's quite rare, it's quite hard, and it's convoluted. So we're going to stick to purely bridging finance on the way in, and then buy-to-let mortgages after we split the title and create leases. So in this case, £297,000, £74,000 deposit, bridging on 12 months at 1% a month is 12% rate, which means here the calculator gives you, in this section, well, your bridging interest will cost you £2,228 per month. Section 6 is all about the rental income on entry. So how much money are you making on entry? In this case, if you look at the listings, if I go back to the listings here, I can show you that this was rented for, and the income coming in at £27,360. So that's the figure that we use to say, okay, switch to yearly here on the calculator, £27,360, which means when I buy it, I take a bridge on it, I'll put £74,000 deposit. I can then borrow the rest, which is £222,750, and that amount will cost me £2,280 per month on the £2,228 on the bridge, which is here, and I am already receiving £2,280 from my rent. So my rent is here, my bridge is here, and there is an actual surplus of £52 a month. But forget that £52 a month. What I was interested in when I was assessing this, well, if I buy it and I put £74,000 deposit, I can borrow the rest on a bridge, and that bridge will cost me £2,228. I'm already making £2,280. So really my bridge cost is being covered by the rental income. So in effect, it's not costing me anything during the time of ownership, during the time I'm actually title splitting it, because the rent is servicing the bridge. So from a title split perspective, number 7, you can then start to say, well, how much is that now going to be worth when I come to break that building up from the 5 flats on one freehold into 5 separate individual flats? And to do that, we can use property data that's already now integrated in our title split calculator that Quiddity Property Education has put together for you. And in this case, you can see here the valuation report. So at the bottom here, you can see each flat's valuation, and you can scroll. The more flats you have, you can scroll up and down, but you can see flat 1 is a 2-bedroom flat at 110,000. Flat 2, 3, 4, 5 is at 95,000. And those added together gives us a block valuation, a new block valuation of £490,000, which means I'm going to be creating uplift in value of £128,000 of in this deal. How do I get to that point? Where actually, just to remind you, I paid 297,000 for it. I spent 64,700 for it here, and my total spend is 361,700. But on exit, my valuation across all 5 flats added together comes to 490,000, and that's how 490,000 minus 361,000 gives me this uplift in value of £128,300. That's the first element of success on the title split. The size of this new value created. The higher it is, the more likely we'll recycle our money out. And that's the pot of money that we will use to then use 25% deposit across all 5 flats. And that's how we recycle our money out, and we have almost virtually 100% mortgage. In terms of the refinance, how does that work? Well, you can see here the block valuation is £490,000. Deposit we will be needing is £122,500, but we created an uplift of £128,000. That's what we will use to pay for our 25% deposit across all 5 flats, which means we will have recycled all of our money out in this scenario. We will get a mortgage across 5 flats of £367,500. That means, in summary, we purchased 297, spent 64k, spent in total 361,700, but we're getting a mortgage out of £367,000. That's how we come up with an extra £5,800 recycled out. Yes, the most common question at that time is, well, do I also take out my deposit? Yes, you also take out that £75,000 deposit that you used initially, the £64,000 that you use on your cost to do the development, as well as the as well as your extra £5,800. So you take all your money out, which is why this deal is such a good deal. So just to recap here, you buy at 297, you spend 64k, so you've now spent 361,000. When you break those 5 flats up, you get a revaluation on each of them. That adds up to £490,000. You take a 25% deposit of those, which is what the uplift in value you've created is. You get a mortgage of £367,500, and that pays off all of your costs, including your £75,000 deposit, your £64,000 of cost that you've spent. You get that back, and you then pay off the bridge, whatever you borrowed from them. On top of that, you recycle an extra £5,800 on top. To me, I'm not bothered about the £5,800 recycled. That's like a buffer for me. If something goes up a little bit higher, I've got a bit of a buffer to take out all my money. So that's how I see this capital recycled extra of £5,800. Sometimes we've recycled much more than that. In section 9 is the passive income now. So this is the bit now we know that we've recycled all of our money on this deal. So that's tick number 1. Tick number 2 is how much money are we going to make each month, every month, once we have improved the state of the flats, as well as carried out a rental increase process across all these flats. So on entry, we were getting, if you remember, £27,000, roughly around £450 a month. But the average price in that area with a decent condition flat is around £600. So we will use the assumption that we're going to get the market average at £600, which translate to, and you can use these tabs interchangeably to fill in your figures. This translates to £36,000 a year, so an uplift of around £9,000 per year once we've done the works, or if you look at it per flat, from £450 to £600 per month. That translates to £36,000 a year, or £3,000 of net income a month. In this section, then we use whatever interest rate at the time is applicable. In this case, right now it's 5%. You can change that as we go along, and then it produces your interest-only part of the payment, the monthly management cost of that property, and then it gives you a total cost. In our case, it will cost us £1,656 per month, or £19,000 roughly a year, and you take the annual rent income, or the monthly rent income. Let's let's keep it simple. Let's keep it monthly rent income, £3,000 minus total cost per month of £1,656. That gives us a profit of £1,350, £43 a month. So that's your second element of profitability. That means you take all your money out and you're going to make £1,350, let's call it that, £1,350 per month, each month net profit. That to me is a really good deal, and non-surprisingly, this is why we've bought it. Because you've not left any money in this section of return on capital invested, the ROI is infinite, as indicated by the infinite sign here, all capital recycled. And that means you are 100% in kind of like, you're on a 100% mortgage. So there is no money to be returned on because you've got no money left in there. So almost you've got all your money out as well as £1,350 a month, each month coming in. And that is why it's such a great deal for us to buy it. And the last section of the calculator gives you the highlights, which then summarizes this deal for you. So you get a new value created of 128,000 from what you've paid. You recycle all your capital out, as well as on top of that, your £5,800 on top. And you are left with £1,350 per month coming in net profit. So you imagine, on average, most of our mentees will do 2 blocks a year. So that money now you take out, you buy the same type of building at the same sort of cost and the same sort of profitability. You get now a second lot of £1,350. That means within 12 months, you bought 2 blocks, you've got 10 flats, yielding you around £2,700 per month net profit. You fast forward that over 3 years, that's roughly £3,000 in year 1, £3,000 in year 2, so £6,000 in year 2, £9,000 in year 3. So that's how we bulk out our portfolio, one deal at a time, recycle the money out. By the second deal, we make £3,000 in year 1, £3,000 in year 2, and another, so £6,000 in year 2, £9,000 in year 3. And that's how we replace people's income within a very short space of time. The discipline of finding the right deal, the discipline of paying the right price, the discipline of not overspending your refurb, which we're going to talk about later on, and ultimately you get your money back. You get your £1,350 in this case as your passive income. And that is how we change lives with title splitting as a property strategy. I hope this has given you a great impetus to get going. You've now sourced loads of properties on your deal sheet. You know which ones are the discount values that works. These are the ones that I want you to grab out to bring to this title split calculator to then stack them financially. And the ones that take most of your money out and leave you a good passive income on your money are the ones that will end up looking to go on a site visit for. And in section 6, we were going to be talking about site visits and the 9 criteria that I asked you to look at for the buildings to have before you can actually commit to buy them.